The information provided here is for general informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. We strongly recommend consulting with a qualified professional to address your specific needs. We are not liable for any decisions made based on the content provided. Elevate, an audio series by Above It. Thanks to Above It Money by Level Up Loans. Elevate your finances today at aboveit.com.au/money. Here's your host, dentist, investor, mum and coach for health professionals, Dr. Vicky Prokopiou.
Hi, today we've got Dr. Robert Lynn, a leading figure in dentistry who's celebrated for his groundbreaking work and expertise in orthodontics and airway health. So important for young kids, right? And adults, notably as Australia's top airway dentist. He boasts an impressive academic background, including a double master's in dentofacial orthopedics and orthodontics. Beyond his clinical achievements, Dr. Lynn is recognized as an investor, international speaker, and a passionate advocate for holistic, patient-centric care. His commitment to advancing dental practice is evident through his active participation in continuous education and his role as a key speaker at dental seminars worldwide. Dr. Lynn's approach to care emphasizes personalized treatments using the latest in dental technology to ensure the best outcomes for his patients. Welcome, Dr. Robert Lynn.
Thanks so much. Thanks for the invitation. And thank you for that introduction too.
Oh, well deserved. My goodness, what an inspiration. This is our Elevate podcast and you are in our second episode. So everyone listening, this is our second episode. The first thing I would love to ask Dr. Lynn or Dr. Rob, he doesn't mind being called either, is if you could, Dr. Rob, please share with us a pivotal moment in your career that's inspired you to push the boundaries of traditional healthcare or dentistry and to seek the innovative solutions in dentistry that you're so much of a leader of.
Yeah, thank you, Vicky. I'm always learning, so I'm always looking for the next thing. But I guess firstly, I graduated in 2009, so it's been 15 years ago. I feel a bit old now. So I have a little bit of experience. But I would say a pivotal moment came in 2013. So that's when I actually met one of my mentors, and who's still a mentor of mine today. He's one of the world's top 100 doctors, so very famous person. I actually did his course. So I remember myself, sitting in that course and first time meeting him. He didn't know me, I didn't know him. It was a recommendation by a friend, and he just looked at me and said, "You," pointed to me, "you have this issue, this issue, this issue." And I'm like thinking, firstly, where did that come from? And what makes you say that? How'd you know that about me? And so I'm like, well, what's going on? It's like I was a bit in shock because I had actually spent my entire childhood. I saw a lot of healthcare professionals, a lot of doctors, a lot of specialists, not quite understanding what sort of health issues I had growing up, but none of them could give me an answer. I just knew, I just always had that gut feeling that something wasn't quite right. For example, I would train, I love sports. So for example, I play basketball. I even played at state and national championships. So when a doctor thinks, "Oh, wow, you must be fit, athletic, there's nothing wrong with you." But I always knew deep down inside something wasn't quite right. For example, no matter how hard I trained harder than everyone else. I trained 7 days a week, but there was also always a limit to my fitness. And that had a lot to do with my breathing and sleep issues. So no doctors could pick that up. And then somehow this dentist had all the answers for me. So I literally took a leap of faith, got some tests done, the ones that he recommended, for example, like a 3D cone beam scan of my entire head and neck. I had a sleep study, and the results were quite alarming. I literally spent a third of the night holding my breath. So I stopped breathing on average 54 times an hour. My oxygen dropped down to the low 80s. So I had a lot of issues growing up, and it took a dentist to point that out to me. So that's what really inspired me to keep learning more. And so in fact, since that time, 2013, I actually, for the next 4 years, I flew down from Brisbane to Sydney every single month to get treated by him. So I had, because, he was the first person in my life that could give me the answers to my health, my health problems. So 4 years of treatment. So I'm not perfect by any means, because, unfortunately, when you find these problems as an adult, it's often a bit late. So you can just try and get the best you can out of what you've got. But that's why these days I'm treating kids at a young age to prevent these problems. So I still have some mild sleep apnea. So I think last sleep study I had, I've done 6 of these now. I still stop breathing about 6 times an hour. But compared to 54, that's a near miracle. So I've come a long way. Yeah, so that's what inspired me. So that's what inspired me through my own health journey. In fact, a couple of years ago, actually, I actually published my whole journey, and it's in the Journal of, I think, Oral Medicine and Dental Research. So I published that as a paper to just show what's possible out there, and that's what inspired me to keep learning. And then since 2018, in fact, I've been teaching alongside my mentor. So to teach other dentists and other healthcare professionals, about airway and sleep and what's possible.
That is so important, isn't it? The airways. I've got 3 kiddies, and late last year they all went through various surgeries for their airways. I can hear them grinding at night. I can hear them snoring, and for kids, it's a different type of snore, isn't it? It's not the loud snore like adults.
Just heavy breathing, yeah.
Yeah. So, what are some of the key signs or symptoms that you remember within yourself and that you treat with others, so that maybe parents can be aware of in their children at night?
Yeah, so let's start with kids. Kids, just the big three main things. Firstly, are they mouth breathing? So if your child is sleeping, there's a term, sleeping like a baby. That means they're sleeping very peacefully, lips together, no noise, and no like random jaw movements, grinding, tongue movements. So that's like sleeping like a baby. That's good sleep. So if their lips are apart, like that in their sleep, something might be going on. It could be blockages in the sinus, nose, allergies. Another thing is, you mentioned already, teeth clenching, grinding. So that's usually, adults are different to kids. So adults, we have a lot of stress in our lives, most of us. So that can play a role with teeth grinding. But with kids, it's due to an airway issue. So that's another sign of a breathing airway issue. That and like just other things like, if they're restless, night sweats, tossing and turning, bedwetting beyond a certain age, things like that, even insomnia. So there's a lot of things out there to look out for, But mainly the big ones are, obviously if they're mouth breathing or if they're teeth grinding. They're 2 obvious ones that parents can easily look out for.
Yeah, so I would suggest that parents are aware of that. And what's really interesting is, because I graduated in 2010 in dentistry, and we learned nothing about airways. I'm sure you didn't learn very much. And then the last 5+ years, I've been quite interested in it. So I was very aware of my children doing it. But the only reason was my career shift. I was going to bed a bit later than them rather than putting them to bed in me to bed. So I heard them and I thought, I can't believe this. I am so grateful that because I've decided to go into coaching, it's changed my schedule a little bit, being a new business, and I was able to pick it up. So, it's really interesting for parents, and important that you're aware of it. And then I know there are also some facial features and things that can give you signs that something might be going on. What are a few of those things that you can pick up?
Well, let's talk about kids. Let's talk about the panda eyes. So it's called, in medical terms, venous pooling, like the dark circles under the eyes. For us adults, it might be we just haven't slept much. We might have been partying late at night. But for kids, when they get that, it's usually 3 main things. So one, it could mean a sign of allergies. Secondly, it could be deoxygenation, so low oxygen. So they're not, obviously, if they're not breathing well, they're not sleeping well, and they have low oxygen, that's a sign of that, where the venous blood pools in that area. And number 3 is an underdeveloped maxilla, which means their top jaw is too small. So think about it this way: the top jaw is directly connected to what's above the jaw is the sinuses. In fact, the top jaw, the maxilla, and the nasal septum are directly connected. So if their jaws are narrow, their airways are narrow. So the top jaw pretty much makes up over 80% of the upper airway. So that's why it's so important, especially the patients I treat. I think about, in terms of kids anyway, about 97–98% of my children patients actually get expansion as part of their treatment, because not just because to alleviate teeth crowding, but for all the health benefits, profile benefits, TMJ benefits. So it's a lot more to it than just straightening teeth.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I know that our profession keeps changing and there's innovation. And I know you're very committed to your beautiful patients as well. I can see the passion that you've got.
Thanks.
Because you can connect to it.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of myself. When I was 6, I smashed my teeth in a pool. So I think that's probably why I became a dentist as well, because I had I actually had a great experience. This was in Queensland at Wet and Wild. And I literally just went to climb on a boulder and I ground my teeth. And my parents, who are in the dental industry, so Dad was a dental technician as of last year's finished, he's retired. They were mortified. So, but for me, I think it changed my path. So isn't it a really strange thing that your experiences do mold you later on as well?
Definitely. If you're passionate about it, it makes work so much more enjoyable.
Yeah. And you know what? My most favorite thing to do is to do anterior fillings and cosmetic stuff. So there we have it, both of us in our line of work there. And I know with your line of work as well, there's a lot of advances in technology and with your human touch that you have with your beautiful patients. How do you balance the technology with what you're going to help treat someone with and what you recommend? Because I know that's so crucial in all your patient interactions.
Yeah, definitely. Well, in fact, probably 80% of my patients are actually children, because my focus is on developing them to their full genetic potential. So it's really important to keep them entertained, engaged. Little simple things like, a lot of clinics now have, TVs while they're lying down, they can watch a TV. We have a lot of tech in our practice as well. I work out of 3 different offices. So like, for example, the 3D cone beam machine, intraoral scanners, digital printers, can show them all the tech and the kids think it's all really fun. Like the intraoral scanner, there's a screen and it's like an iPad. And then after I scan their jaw, they can play with it. Like every kid knows how to use an iPad these days. So they're like, whoa, this is cool. Yeah, so the tech obviously plays an important role. But at the end of the day, it's important, if the kid likes you, that goes a long way in the parents, building that rapport and the parents trusting you and choosing you to, to be the one that treats their child. So it's really important to also have that human element, being able to connect with the child. Not just the tech though, because there's other things that I do as part of my, my workup, my diagnosis. Like I got to do an occlusal analysis. So I've got to do work still, take measurements inside the kid's mouth. So they have to trust me. They have to feel comfortable. I even do muscle palpations. So 18 different muscles in the head and neck. Sometimes some of those can be sore. So yeah, one of the first things I must do is get the child as comfortable as possible and to like me. So once we've established that trust, then it's usually pretty smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, trust is huge, isn't it? You know what I find really interesting? A lot of the parents send their kids to come in and suss out our clinic first, and then they come. It's like the kids are braver, or they're a really good gauge of whether someone's a good connection or not. So you and I are all about elevating health professionals. And
Definitely.
What challenges, and we all face challenges. I've been in business for over 12 years, and you've been in dentistry and studying and specializing. And I credit to you, my goodness, such a big commitment. And you continue that commitment. And those challenges, and I'm sure you've faced lots of them with your approach to leadership and mentorship within our healthcare community, within dentistry, because I know we're talking about the broader health community here. We've got a lot of health professionals that listen to our podcast because we have a lot to learn. And one of the key things, before I get you to answer this, the thing you mentioned in the start, we're always learning. That's my motto as well, always learning. And that's what true leadership and mentorship's all about. So how have you gone about approaching the leadership and mentorship for those around you?
Yeah, so I guess it starts with, firstly, well, uni's a long time ago now, but there were some challenges even just starting from uni days, because for me, like the reason why, I never stopped learning is because soon after I graduated from dentistry, I realized that just dental school really taught me only the bare basics on how to do the very basic dental, whatever procedures. It just, so I realized after I graduated, there was still so much more I had to learn. So I could either just do bread and butter dentistry and do, I guess, boring stuff and not like my job, or I could just I've always been that type of person that always wanted to learn more. So I've always been very curious. So I think curiosity is a really good trait to have. These days, though, in terms of teaching, like, yeah, obviously learning a lot, being an authority in the industry, having the master's degrees has given me many opportunities to teach people, like not just dentists, but also other health professionals and in 5 different continents and around the world. So it's been a great journey. But there are also some challenges that I face with even politics. For example, the healthcare professionals in our country, in Australia, we're under the APRA umbrella. So their role is actually to try and sort of control us. So anyone like myself who in Australia in general, we have tall poppy syndrome. So yeah, it's world famous. Everyone knows about tall poppy syndrome in Australia. So anyone that tries to really push the boundaries and it really excel, people, they try and limit what you can do. So that's always been quite difficult. But I guess someone has to do it. Someone has to do it, because if no one teaches, then all the other healthcare professionals don't learn. We don't grow together. The standard of healthcare will always stay the same. Mm-hmm. So it's at the end of the day, people willing to put themselves out there and teach new things, learn cutting edge knowledge, do research. It's only benefiting the general public. So I personally think all this stuff should be encouraged. Even though, say, in my area, yes, there's, obviously still competitors as well. And a lot of them are actually my friends, but we all get along because we're all, we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to, make our country or the world better, make health professionals better, and raise that standard of healthcare. So I think that's really important.
That is vital, and what a great mission to have. And that sense of community, banding together. And yes, there is resistance. I've had some too, going into coaching as well. And a lot of my mentors in dentistry as well have had the same, but they've pushed on. And so I recommend, if you believe in something, go for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Get the tools under your belt, get the mentors you need, and just go for it, because we're here to change, as you said, the quality of healthcare and to elevate it. Thus the podcast. And and yes, the challenges, they just keep coming, but we can get through them. And it's great to have someone like you as well in my network too, that I can look up to. So I appreciate that. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners will now have a new health professional to look up to as well, which is really lovely. And I know you have so much experience. What would you recommend some key strategies could be for professionals who are seeking to enhance their practice and to elevate their service to their patients, whether they're doctors, dentists, any other health professionals who deal with jaws, even the myologists, and those who love looking at diet and how the gut flora affects things, just everybody, because our healthcare landscape is changing rapidly.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, we've already mentioned a couple of things. Firstly, never stop learning. Also, having the latest technology also goes a long way. First impressions sell. If someone goes into your office, your clinic, and everything looks outdated, it doesn't set a good impression. What actually really helped me at the start, because in dental school, we learn all the dental lingo, all the scientific terminology. So that actually does not help at all when you graduate and you need to talk to a patient. So I probably did at least 5 different communication courses out there. So I took little bits from every person I learned from, and then just established my own way of communicating with a patient. So communication is definitely very important, because if you can't explain it in lay terms, then they'll be confused, and then they won't understand. They won't pick the right treatment for them. So so that's very important. Also branding and marketing. So not just obviously branding having your practice, but if you want to go to that next level, having a personal brand really helps. For example, say like Elon Musk, his brand is huge. So no matter what business he wants to do, he's got the Tesla, the Boring Company, SpaceX, and now he's bought Twitter. So everything he does, people just throw money at him because his personal brand is actually way bigger than all these companies. So having a personal brand, it's also will go a long way if you want to take it to that next level, especially if you want it to be like yourself, a coach or an educator. That goes a long way. And marketing. So for business, whether it's a healthcare business or any business, you can't rely purely on, you know, word of mouth or referrals, because I mean, that's all nice. That's more, I see it as icing on the cake, but you got to understand marketing. So because we're in, like, the world is, as you mentioned, the world is changing so fast. We're in the digital era. So everyone's on social media. Everyone must have a website. Everyone, you know, needs to do some sort of marketing to keep the business going. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. You know, just thinking of our patients, some are locals, but a lot of them go, when we ask them, how did you hear about us? Google review. And, you know, we're not allowed to have Google reviews, but it's there. You can't push them. There are a lot of rules about that too, but you can't stop someone from doing it. So if they're happy with your service, why not let other people know how amazing it is? We're just not allowed to reply to them, and there's a whole lot of rules. So if you need to look at the rules, look at the AHPRA guidelines for social media marketing, all that stuff. Yeah, I know, because prior to this practice here, I'm in Newtown. Yeah, I'm in surgery 3 at the moment. I was rural and for 6 years, and apart from local marketing, like sponsoring the sports club and things like that and events, it was a lot of word of mouth. And that was back in 2015 for the 6-year period after that. Very different now. It's highly competitive, and you've got to stand out from the rest.
Yeah, definitely being in Sydney, a big city. So many dentists, highly competitive. Yeah, otherwise, no one knows where you are. So long gone are the days where you can just get a stall, put a sign up, and people start coming in.
Yeah, because they like you. Let me tell you, a lot of family and close friends do not go to you as a practitioner usually. It's more those who see you, have looked at you, because they're looking at you online, aren't they? They're already connected to you. And that's what I talk about in my dental dialogue and dialogue mastery courses, where it is vital that you know how to communicate with different people of different communication style and also be genuine.
You're listening to Elevate, an audio series by Above It, with thanks to Above It Money by Level Up Loans. Elevate your finances and arrange an obligation-free 15-minute chat today at aboveit.com.au/money.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I said nothing beats the aura of authenticity. Just be yourself. Like, if you're a little bit nerdy, a little bit awkward, a bit funny, like a bit quirky, whatever, just be yourself, because at the end of the day, that makes you happy. And if that's the way you connect, then, like, you know, if someone doesn't like you, that's okay. Like, not everyone's gonna like you, but like, if you pretend to be someone else, or, like, you know, use some, I don't know, some people like NLP, that's great, but, like, you know, if that's all you know, then that, you know, that may not be the best, in my opinion, the best thing to do. But you can use a little bit of that, but at the end of the day, just be yourself is the most important thing.
And that's what I tell everybody. Be yourself. The person you are at home is the person you should be at work. You can't be two different people. It gets exhausting. And you're not being 100% you. And it's going to get to you at some point where you're like, I can't play this act anymore. And we know that this beautiful podcast here is not just about the professional development. We've talked about that. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. I will put links to this, to your links as well in the podcast description, so that people can find you easily as well, because I think you're very inspirational. But it's also about personal growth. And I'd love for you to share some insights on how you maintain a harmonized, fulfilling life amidst all the demands of your professional commitments, your traveling, having your partner. It's just, it can get a bit much sometimes, right?
Yeah, well, I think firstly, because I enjoy what I do, and not just that, I actually enjoy teaching even more. I reckon, like, just being able to help, that, you know, having that obligation to teach and help more people, because I realize that, you know, I'm helping a patient one-to-one, but if I'm teaching others to do the same thing, I'm helping one-to-many. Like, it's exponential impact. So yeah, I feel like, because I enjoy what I do so much, it makes the rest of my life a lot easier. But I guess in my spare time, I love exercise. So I still play basketball. Obviously, not nowhere at the same level as I used to. But like my dental career, I've also taken up more of a leadership role in basketball as well. So in Brisbane, myself and a few other people, we actually run a weekly basketball competition every Sunday. There's over 40 teams with long waiting lists to try and get into our competition. Across 4 divisions, our top division's full of semi-pro players. So Yeah, it's pretty high level. Not just that, I do a bit of coaching, managing. We we have our own rep teams. We training, like I had training last night. We're taking about 60 people to Sydney in Easter for a basketball tournament. That's a yearly thing. Last year alone, we played against two national teams, like from Taiwan, Hong Kong. They actually flew to Australia to play our top players. So it's a bit like business. We're building connections. Like every time I go to a tournament competition, I'm talking to people and see who else we can connect with. So I really enjoy that. So that's kind of my side hobby. Obviously, you mentioned my wife. Yeah, I just love spending time with her. So
well, that's good.
Whether it's going to a restaurant, we both love eating, traveling together. And on weekends, we often either meet up with friends or with other entrepreneurs. Like we were in just Ipswich on Sunday. I think Saturday we're going to the Gold Coast. We meet up with a few high level entrepreneurs like yourself. So always growing and learning from each other. So, yeah,
absolutely. And yeah, I'm thirsty for learning as well. So it's very important, isn't it, to hang around the people who are there, who are going to uplift you, who can learn from you, and you can learn from them as well, sharing.
Oh, most definitely. Being in Australia with tall poppy syndrome, your environment's so important to keep you motivated and keep pushing each other, encouraging each other to do better. Yep. So important, yeah. It's so important. I think I wish kids can have that environment as well in schools, because I feel like things like anxiety, depression, bullying, things like that, it seems to be on the rise. In schools.
Yep. I'm actually fearful for my children. I think, well, I went through such an innocent time at school. I do remember times where I had to stand up to myself. There were bullies and I put them to a stop. And I was like in year 3, and I remember one time, but I think, well, what are they going to face? And how can I best equip them with the knowledge, the skills to stand up for themselves and not put up with things as well, and also to tell adults, teachers, us as parents, what they're going through so we can nip it in the bud early.
Yeah.
And now looking into the future, I'm very futuristic. I love the future. It sounds like you do too. What emerging trends do you see in healthcare that excite you the most? And how do you envision these innovations, Dr. Lynn, on impacting the way that us as health professionals engage with our patients and with improving our skills as well?
Well, I'm a bit biased in this because obviously my passion's in airway and sleep. So what's really happened is, since COVID especially, when everyone's in lockdowns, people have been at home, people have become so conscious of their health. A lot of people are just reading stuff online. So I don't know if you feel this, but I find that patients are coming with a lot more knowledge, and they really ask more difficult questions. So they're really testing you. So they're making us have to be better. So there's this massive health wave, like it's already here right now. So especially the younger generation, it seems like every day I get a new patient consultation, someone young in their 20s or 30s with breathing or sleep problems. And they found me because of my personal brand. They found me whether on social media, on Google. And then even today, I had a lady drive 5 hours just to come and see me. And that's not an uncommon thing. Some people even catch flights to see me. So when you get to have that branding, that's why that branding is so important. But yeah, so that's obviously a big area, airway and sleep, nutrition. Also, I think if you want to talk about dentistry, the stuff like stem cells, that's a big one too. Not just in dentistry, but in medicine as well. I can say myself, being a dentist, I remember one of the first things one of the teachers said to me as soon as I got into dentistry, because I'm tall, I'm like 190 centimeters, like, oh, you're too tall to be a dentist, you're going to have some serious back issues. And I did. I've got to the point where lower back issues, to the point where my toes were gone numb. Like I couldn't feel my toes. So lower back injuries, and luckily with the help of, say, good physical therapists like osteopaths, chiros, and the help of stem cells, that's a key. So I was able to regain that feeling. So I'm able to, still keep playing basketball. So stem cells is a big thing, I think, as well. Like I know a lot of the specialists are using that with their implants for better healing, surgeons as well. So that's another area that yeah, I'm pretty keen on, and that's areas where some of my mentors are actually teaching in as well.
And so to those who don't know how you get stem cells and where they are found, obviously in your blood, but how do you get them to be able to then use them in the form that they need to be used? Can you possibly tell us?
Oh, it depends. Like in medical might be a little bit different, like, but say for dental, you can just get it from your normal blood. You have one of those centrifuges, those machines that can just spin it around, and you just take out the stem cells. There's like, I think at least 400 anti-inflammatory cells just in that layer. So that can even be used for things like, you know, cosmetics, blood facials, hair regrowth. That stuff all works. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually trained in it last year in the phlebotomy.
Oh yeah, I've got a license too.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't quite enjoy drawing the blood though, I must say, but I do love then centrifuging it and using it.
Yeah, it's cool. And it tells you how healthy you are too by looking at your blood.
Yeah, so true. That's why I've got this massive health kick after we were in Bali together. Yep. And I had the pleasure of having breakfast with you and Camille. It was just beautiful. Thoroughly enjoyed that. But yeah, it's really nice. And that's it. You never know. You learn a skill and you don't know where you're going to use it in the future. So it's wonderful that we're both trained in that too. Yeah. And thank you for shedding light on it. I just wanted, because I'm sure the question will come up. Those who are listening will be like, well, what are stem cells? I was even looking at stem cells, at donating them after I gave birth from my placenta for a family member in need, but our blood wasn't a match, so I couldn't do that, unfortunately. But then my baby took the blood anyway, because they allow, yeah, to those doctors listening here too, that they allow the umbilical cord to be connected for some minutes. I can't remember how many minutes, and then the baby gets the blood with all the nutrients. So really, really nice. Now, our final question. We've discussed a lot. Stem cells. Who knew it was going to go to stem cells? But that is the future, right?
Oh, well, actually for sports, professional athletes, they've been doing those, you know, PRF, PRP injections for like a couple of decades. So
yes,
it's been around in sports for a little while too. Yeah.
So true. You know what I find interesting? Dentistry in Australia, and it might be the same in all our health field, we're so behind the US and Europe. So it's great to travel and do courses overseas and see new things. And then you can go, oh, this is what I can then help my patients with, which is really good.
That's why over especially the last 10 years, I've traveled a lot overseas, in particular to like North America and Europe. That's where a lot of my more comprehensive holistic learnings have come from, because yeah, Australia's, we're pretty good at research, but we're more of a country that follows others. Yeah, we're sort of about sit back, let's see what happens. She'll be right. And then,
yeah.
Okay, that works. Let's do it too.
It's kind of our motto here, right? Be a bit laid back.
Yeah.
And for those of us who are all ambitious here, like our listeners, like yourself and me, we're just always thinking forward. And I have one last question for you, Dr. Rob. I'm just going to call you Rob. Okay,
yes,
we're all friends now. Yeah. Our listeners are friends now, and they know where to find you in the links we've got here attached. To those who are early in their healthcare careers, whether it's dentistry or anything else, what advice would you offer to help them to navigate the complexities of our industries while staying true to their values and vision for making positive impacts in others' lives?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's really getting tough these days because universities are kind of becoming like a business. So I remember when I first graduated, my year, we started with 60, only 47 graduated from UQ in 2009. And now there's like just Queensland alone, there's 3 dental schools. So they're probably pumping through 200-300 graduates a year now. So it's kind of like a business. So there's more graduates, there's more competition. So I feel what's really important is, so I guess, when you first graduate, as I mentioned earlier, like university has only taught you the bare basics. So really spend the first couple of years on getting your bread and butter right, being really good at the basic skills, just like, yeah, really like smashing that first. And then don't really focus on the money straight away. It will come, don't worry. It will come, especially if you can build your brand and you know, build rapport with patients so they keep coming back. And, you know, if you keep learning, if you keep upskilling, you can do more treatments, then obviously you'll be able to naturally learn more over time. Probably the most important thing would be to have a good mentor. So whether it's the person, if you work for someone the owner of the clinic. Hopefully they can mentor you, and they're very skilled. So if you're looking for a job, look for someone, preferably someone that's an educator. That would go a long way, because they obviously have a lot of knowledge and experience. So a really good mentor goes a long way. And I found that when I was just coming out, my first few years, it was important to try everything. Like every healthcare industry has all these different niches. So for us, for example, with dentistry, whether it's oral surgery, perio, endo, whatever it is, just try all of it, and you'll find areas that you like, and just keep upskilling in those areas. And well, for me, it started in 2013, and 11 years later, I'm all about airway and sleep. And even when I sometimes go overseas dental conferences, people will be like, "Hey, you're the airway guy from Australia." I was like, "Whoa, really?" My brand's reaching overseas. So that's really cool. But the key is, mentoring, and really never stop learning, because there's always new things coming out. So if you kind of don't keep up to date, you're left behind. And then it can, don't want to go into that downward spiral and start to not enjoy yourself. So it's really important to also enjoy what you do. A lot of young, I guess, healthcare professionals, because we graduate, we have all these HECS debt. We might be just so focused on making money to pay off that debt, and you can even burn yourself out. So having a good work-life blend, work-life balance, that's also really important. So and just be yourself at work. Be yourself.
It's so true. And if you find you don't feel comfortable or belong somewhere, find an environment that's going to nurture you.
Definitely.
But for me, my first job, I didn't really have a mentor there, so I found I didn't last there long, because there were things that were happening as well that weren't aligned with my values. And it takes courage to move on, because you think, is it me? How am I going to find another job? But you do. And you find the environment that you're meant to be around. And I can say I didn't get a mentor for many, many years later. And I just didn't know the value of it, of investing in myself. But once I did, I'm like, why did I not get one sooner? And I could have done things way quicker.
Yeah, a good mentor, a good coach. It's a bit like cheating in an exam. It's the fast track you to going to that next level, to more success. Yeah, definitely.
Do you want to take the stairs or the elevator? Elevator to floor 100. I wouldn't want to take the stairs there. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd love to add before we go today?
I'm actually in the process. I've been talking to a lot of marketing teams lately. I'm actually setting up my own airway and sleep course. So if you're a healthcare professional, and particularly in Australia, look out for my if you see my marketing, it means the marketing team's doing it properly. So look out for it, especially on social media. So if you want to learn about airway and sleep, so it'll be out. It'll be released very shortly.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. We can even pop the link here. There we go.
When it's up and running,
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that is so wonderful. I love it that you have learned things and continue to learn, and you're sharing your special knowledge and your specialty with those around you. That is the greatest gift to give to other health professionals. And I can see you find it thoroughly rewarding as well.
Yeah, it's been a great journey, and hopefully a lot more to go.
Absolutely. Still young.
Still less than halfway. I mean, 15 years seems long, but then when we get to the end of our careers, it will go really fast.
Absolutely.
So just try and achieve the most we can, teach as many people as we can in the time that we have. Yeah.
I think you'll never retire. You'll always be in your mind. You strike me as someone who's highly ambitious and just super fit as well, mentally and physically, which really helps with the longevity and supporting others through their journey as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Rob, for coming in and for sharing your knowledge and for giving up your beautiful time. That is so valuable for us.
My pleasure. Yeah, thank you for the invitation.
Thanks for being on the Elevate podcast.
Yeah, it's been great.
You've been listening to Elevate, an audio series by Above It, with thanks to Above It Money by Level Up Loans. Elevate your finances and arrange an obligation-free 15-minute chat today at aboveit.com.au/money. The information provided here is for general informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. We strongly recommend consulting with a qualified professional to address your specific needs. We are not liable for any decisions made based on the content provided.